This is a climate control station.
Fang, in for
The Climate Control Center.
We're gonna need a little precipitation. We're gonna need a little precipitation.
This is a climate control station.
Here in Modesto, California, pilots are prepping this plane to fly into the center of a storm. Flares on the wings and fuselage will inject a substance called silver iodide into the storm and increasing the amount of precipitation that falls.
Fang, in for the Climate Control Center. We're gonna need a little precipitation.
Spike, what for? Look, whatever you're planning won't work. Okay, who's the head honcho here?
Who are you?
Me? Why, I'm just a gun-toting weather girl.
What are you doing here? This is a climate control station. What do you want from us?
I want you to make it rain.
I kicked the snow and it turned into dust. That's different. I don't know if that ever happened in my life. I mean, sometimes you kick the snow and it falls apart. I kicked the snow and it exploded into a ball of snow dust. I don't even know what that means. When I was growing up, we used to take the snow and we'd make ice cream out of it. Don't do that. Don't eat the snow. I don't know what's wrong with it. Some people have been lighting it on fire. That was happening years ago. They're like, what is going on? Like, how come the snow is flammable? And it makes me think of napalm and Agent Orange, and also how they used old weather tech to make monsoons, like cloud seeding, I guess, or whatever it is that they use. So I'm going to talk about a bunch of things that have been done to us that aren't new, that you can just know about. So of course it's going to enter into geoengineering. I guess you could say that I'm talking about geoengineering. The weather is strange. I mean, they're openly telling us, we need to protect you from the sun. How long before they start making us pay to keep the sun away from us, right? Something like that. Or in the UK, if you want sun at all, well, this area hasn't paid their sun taxes. Not enough of you have paid them, so no sun. Or you haven't paid your sun taxes, so you're going to get so much sun, it's going to scorch you, or whatever. I'm going to stay focused. I think it was as early as the 1920s that they were flying over with dry ice to make it rain. They're flying around in planes. I don't know, was it biplanes or something? What did they have in the 20s? And they were flying around in the sky with dry ice to make it rain. For years, people have been paranoid. They said, what? They're doing something. They're flying around with the chemtrails. And they told people, that's nothing. Don't you believe them? You're crazy. They've always been doing that, except that we noticed when it started happening and it's not normal and they crisscrossed the sky. I remember living in a suburb in Colorado and the sky was literally crisscrossed like a checkerboard. Like in a formation of checkerboard. And like they're gridding out the sky with chemtrails. Like, what's going on? And also, you weren't allowed to save rainwater. They're like, no, you have to let it go into the ground. That's like against the law. Like you couldn't, like people were getting in trouble for trying to save rainwater. So they have cloud seeding. We know that rich Saudi royals for years have been shooting barium rockets up into the clouds because shooting a barium rocket up will make it rain. We know about the Wilhelm Reich technology that actually works. They have a cloud buster gun, or cloud burster gun. I always forget which one it's called. Wilhelm Reich was a weirdo. He was the guy that talked about harvesting the energy of the orgasm. He called it the orgone phenomenon. And that you could harvest that energy and use it. But also he was the guy that invented the cloudbuster gun, and you point it up at the sky and it'll rain down on you. So this is nothing new. Like they've been manipulating the weather for years, and now they openly, the UK government says we've got to block out the sun. It's too harmful. So they're changing the climate. They told us they're changing the climate. It's called geoengineering. You could just know about it. And and they're changing the climate and calling it climate change. Oh no, we got to protect you from the sun. We got to block out the sun. Isn't that something that Gates was talking about? He was talking about blocking out the sun, and people went, ugh. And then was it like Mr. Burns? Now they're just doing it. So he knew that they were doing it, and he talked about it. And now the government in the UK is saying, yeah, we're going to block out the sun. It's too harmful for you. And look at what they did over there in the UK. They brought a bunch of people in from another climate, a climate where their skin's darker because they get more sun. And now they're saying, well, we got to protect you, you know, the people who were here before that just didn't get enough sun, so it is. And the new people here who come from a place where they would get more sun than the people that whose land it is they are in the UK that they, you know, brought in to displace. No sun for any of you. That's how to control people. If you want to make people live in a pod and eat the bugs and know nothing, change the weather. And we can see how in America all this, you know, extreme weather. Everybody's kind of going, oh, really? It's kind of weird. And they're telling their accounts of the snow. Some of the snow looks like little styrofoam pellets. Or the little ice cream balls that people eat. You know what I'm talking about? Like there's like a machine. Instead of just giving you ice cream, it gives you like these little balls of ice cream. And that's what the snow is like. It's very strange. Probably, at least around where I live, the snow, I was like, this is probably people like to go skiing on this type of snow. I don't know if you should breathe it in or you should be out in it. Again, I kicked it and it just turned into dust. And I was like, that's strange. That's probably just this one, you know, ball of snow. It was like a big ball of snow. You shovel it and then it, you know, it takes a form and then it falls down to the ground. And it turned to dust. So I just went around kicking the snow and it just turned into like, which I guess is supposed to be, other people will say, oh, it's that good powder for skiing on. No, it's just strange. I know what it's like to kick, you know, like, I would kick snow hesitantly, like a ball of snow, because it might be ice. And it's been so cold here that it is like a crust of ice. And even when, like, I've seen icicles and all that stuff my whole life, so they look normal. But when the snow melts and that water falls, the melting ice that's left, that looks weird. I don't know how, the way that it structures itself into, like icicles dripping, the snow coming off the roof, dripping down into the ground. I should just take pictures and show you. It looks strange. The way that when the ice turns into water, the way that the water is forming itself, it's strange. It's like, I don't know how to describe it. I've never seen it like that before. So now they just, you know, they fly over. We had full moons. Well, there's just one. We had full moon. And everything was so bright. And the sky was just crazy with jets. You could see the trails of the jets like never before. I was like, this is so crazy. And, you know, we've had these super cold temperatures, you know, like below zero temperatures. And they're warning people, like, don't stay out. Like, if you stay out for 30 minutes, you're going to get frostbite. And I do believe that all this stuff is, my opinion, is to push us to what the World Economic Forum says: you will live in a pod, you will eat the bugs, and you will own nothing. Yeah, they're trying to push us to this place. I mean, they've already destroyed over like 200 plus, if not 300 by now. And this was years ago, you know, when we went into lockdowns. And then they're like, oh, look, now it's like up to 260 some food processing plants that have been just destroyed. And Tyson Foods buys up all the 4 largest bug breeding facilities and says, we can see the trend of things. And they're like, yeah, but you're Tyson Foods. Why are you buying bug breeding facilities? And they're like, you're going to eat bugs. We're on top of the trend of things. I think that was part of their official statement from Tyson Foods. That's disgusting. Obviously, we don't need to eat bugs. They kind of want us to eat bugs or whatever. You know, if you want to make people into Bugman or whatever, maybe make them eat bugs. Hope you don't have a shellfish allergy. So anyway, back on weather. The NASA cloud machine. I've used videos of that, and I've used clips of that in other videos of mine. They have a big noisy machine and it makes clouds. And before they had the NASA cloud machine the way that we know it today, they had other ways of making clouds, like, you know, cloud seeding to affect changes in weather. I think it was around 2009 or 2010 that like double digits of all the top scientists in Germany sued the government of Germany because they said, look, we know what you're doing. You're affecting changes in weather with aluminum sulfide particles and other particles, and you're not telling us that you're doing this. So they sued the government because they knew that Germany was doing it. They got together. It was like, I guess, I don't know if you call it class action lawsuit or whatever they call it in Germany, but the top scientists got together and said, we all know that you're doing this. And now look at Germany. They have different problems along, you know, also the weather, but now they have leisure zoos to keep the guys away from the women. Did you ever hear of the German leisure zoos? It's a new development. They didn't always have those. They were like, how do we deal with these new immigrants or whoever, the new people that live there? And they said, well, we'll give them leisure zoos so they can have sex with livestock. Also, along with the people complaining about chemtrails and being told they were crazy, there's always been hikers along the Appalachian Trail, and a lot of them were going to the hospital, and when they found out what was wrong with these hikers that had fallen ill, it was that they were contaminated with aluminum poisoning. So allegedly, the jets are flying over releasing chemtrails, and because the top of the Appalachian Trail where the people hike is at a higher elevation, they were getting poisoned by the aluminum particles that affect changes in weather patterns, and then they went to the hospital and like, why are all the hikers winding up in the hospital with aluminum poisoning? Because it's hitting them first. It doesn't have time to be rained on and then dispersed down the mountain and spread out and stuff. They're just getting it dumped on top of them. And that's awful. I think that's what happened to the Tin Man in The Wizard of Oz, the original guy who was supposed to play the Tin Man. I think it was the guy who played Ed Cramden on The Honeymooners. Ed Norton on The Honeymooners, sorry. He was Art Carney, that was his name. Art Carney was supposed to play the Tin Man in The Wizard of Oz, and they put makeup on him that had aluminum particles in it, and he almost died, and he's like, I'm not doing it. And then they got some other guy to do it, which it was Ray Bolger, whoever played the Tin Man in The Wizard of Oz, and then he got really sick too. But Art Carney almost, it was aluminum poisoning, why I mention this. Somewhere over the rainbow. That's the mass MK Ultra. So yeah, I mean, they've been lying to us. They're like, oh, chemtrails, you're crazy. Tell Joe Rogan to tell people that they don't matter. Joe Rogan's talking about chemtrails. Tell him to shut up about it. And then he said, oh, that's not true. And now we know that it's true. It's geoengineering. The UK government says, you know, as predicted by The Simpsons, great for predictive programming, we're going to block out the sun. It's bad for you. And they're going to make you pay for it. They're going to make you pay to block out the sun. And it's all, I think it's all just to, you know, it's dialectics, right? Like make a problem creation, reaction, solution. Hey, we're going to make it really hard for you guys to live, and then you're going to say, do something, save us, and then you're going to have to go along with whatever we say. And it's getting too big. You know, when you have the ability, who was it? Was it Eisenhower? One of the presidents, or was it maybe JFK? I can't remember. One of the presidents said, whoever controls the weather controls everything. And we know from Monsanto's corporate website that they said they want to be the only, you know, worldwide, they want to make all the food. They want to be responsible for all of it. And then the Waldens, the evil, hideous, evil Walden family, says that they want to be the only store. It's on their corporate website. They're like, hey, invest in us. We want to be the only store. And then Walmart also hired senior citizens to be greeters at the door, and you're like, why would they do that? You know, why would they pay people to do a job that doesn't, hi, welcome to Walmart, I love you, remember that? And why would they hire old people to be greeters at the door? Like, oh, they're not so bad. Look how nice it is. They're giving retired senior citizens work. They took out insurance policies on these people. They knew that the insurance money was more than it would cost to pay them. Like, hire the most senior citizens you can, because they'll probably be dead soon. Look into their records and find out what's wrong with them, and hire them. Hire terminal people. We want to take out insurance policies on them. And then they'd collect on the insurance policies. And that was exposed, may have been exposed before we even got into the double digits with, you know, the 20s. With the new millennium. Target's not so good either. What company do you want to work for in our brave new world? Do you want to work for Target or Walmart? They're probably going to join together, and then it'll be just to create competition and division. We're better. We work for, you know, like worldwide. We work for Walmart. We work for Target. We're better. And then the future that some of the futurists, globalists talk about is that you'll work for a factory and then you'll live below Target or below Walmart. I mean, this is in their plans for us. I think I remember hearing that Jay Dyer's talking about globalization stuff. So maybe we want to check in the Jay Dyer's Globalist book series, you know, warily. I don't know if you want to think about a guy who gets his paychecks from Alex Jones. I don't know if that's good. You know, I don't know if that's good or not. But anyway, his info on the globalization and a lot of things that I talk about is pretty sound. At least it was years ago. I don't listen to him anymore. Look for the old stuff. So, shit, man, they're messing with the weather and they don't even hide it anymore. And what does that mean? Like, is that class 4 society or stage 4 society where they have weather manipulation capabilities? Did I insert in this video? I'm not sure if I'll put it up front because I don't want you to think you're watching the same video over again. I have these Cowboy Bebop clips where Cowboy Bebop tells Faye to go to the Department of Weather Control. You're like, what? And the Cowboy Bebop movies from 2002. Let me explain the plot to you of the Cowboy Bebop movie. There's a guy who wants to release some kind of ultra-virulent strain of exotica that was used in germ warfare or whatever. And he wants to unleash it onto the populace so everybody gets sick and they start to see weird visions where they're swatting around at insects that aren't there, and then they spin around and they die in rigor mortis poses, which happened. That was happening like 3 years ago. There was these videos from Asia where people were swatting at something they couldn't see, and then they would seize up, their bodies would, like rigor mortis would set in, and their bodies would lock up and they would die, and they would drop dead. They'd be swatting at something, and then they'd seize up and they'd drop dead. I can't find clips on that anymore, but I know I have one, but it's from somebody else's video. If I can find that, I'll put that in here. But go look it up. Maybe you'll be able to find it better than I do. I think it was happening in Mexico too. It wasn't just in Asia. It was maybe even in South America. That's in the Cowboy Bebop movie. In the Cowboy Bebop movie from 2002, mind you, people are swatting at something that isn't there. They're swatting at these moths. It looks like those white moths that kids think are butterflies, and they go chase them around in the summer. They're like, look, it's a butterfly. You're like, no, that's a big moth. And they're swatting at these moths, and then they seize up and die. Isn't the moth a symbol of death in Japan? Anyway, so also in the Cowboy Bebop movie, the way that Cowboy Bebop and his friends stop this fatal virus is that they put vaccines for it inside of planes, and they have the guys fly over with planes to release it into the air so that the people get, you know, the poison's been released, so that they don't die. The antidote in the form of military grade vaccine or whatever is just rained down on people. Did you ever see those videos where people were like, look, I swatted a mosquito and it's got a number taped to it. Look, I have mosquito 34. What does that mean? Have you heard about the vaxquitos? reminds me of my videos that I've done over and over again about the film. I like to reference certain movies that I feel are pertinent over and over again because they have a lot of, I guess you would say, disclosure in them. But there's a movie called Annihilation. It was directed by the guy who made Ex Machina, who hates God. He openly tells you that he hates God. So that bozo that made Ex Machina, that hateable, loathsome guy, you can pray for him if you want, so he doesn't go to hell. I mean, if you think whoever you think the devil has, and the devil has that guy, well, we don't want the devil to have him. So maybe we want to pray for the director of Ex Machina, because even though he hates God, openly, like Ridley Scott. So anyway, he directed Annihilation with Natalie Portman and Oscar Isaacs. Do you know that Natalie Portman's mom worked for the CIA? So anyway, Natalie Portman and her friends girl boss it up, and the whole world is tainted by evil. Like everything on the planet tainted by evil, and it's like really cool sci-fi with gnarly special effects and stuff. And it's all, female empowerment and everything. But anyway, the end of the movie of Annihilation ends like Michael Jackson's Thriller video, where Michael turns at the camera and he's got bifurcated pupils. He's got like reptile eyes. Remember that? Michael Jackson's Thriller. That's how Annihilation ends. Natalie Portman and Oscar Isaacs embrace each other, and some kind of serpent goes and writhes around them, I think. And then they both have Michael Jackson Thriller eyes, like lizards. And then there's the message. Everything on the planet is tainted by evil. There's also this movie with Jake Gyllenhaal and Ryan Reynolds. It's the one where Ryan Reynolds dies in the middle, and you're like, oh no, they killed Ryan Reynolds. And then Jake Gyllenhaal is sent to Earth. They're in space, and there's some kind of, looks like Venom. Remember Venom from the Venom movies, where the black goo comes from outer space, and it's sentient, and it latches on to Eddie Brock, and then he gets the powers of a demon, but he has to also be a willing participant of Venom consuming eating people, and consuming their souls probably too, in exchange for powers and abilities far beyond that of a mortal man. Well, Jake Gyllenhaal comes down from space and lands in the ocean in the lander. Is that even real? And he comes down to Earth in the ocean, and when he gets out of his space lander or whatever you call that thing, it's covered with venom, black goo shit, and he's like, no, because he tries to stop him from ever getting to Earth. He tries to destroy the shuttle. That's the word I wanted. He tries to destroy the shuttle because he doesn't want to bring this evil from space down to Earth, like a fallen angel, I guess you could say. And then it ends with like the bad kind of sci-fi ending, where it's like, oh no, like this whole thing's gonna take over the Earth, which also reminds me of John Carpenter's The Thing, where something falls to Earth in Antarctica, and there's all the weirdness about Antarctica and what weather may be there. It also reminds me of, I'm just gonna go wherever I go with this. There was an anime called Mushishi, and there was a place where it was snow, and because there was these weird bacteria there, it would make like these isolated areas where there was like, I guess you would say like tropical paradise. It was like summer weather conditions where things were blossoming and growing, and the animals got weird because it was contaminated by this stuff called the mushishi, which is like some kind of bacteria. Did you ever hear about that one? I think they played that on Cartoon Network. So anyway, it was kind of a neat Japanese cartoon. I liked that one, even though I'm a grown man and I'm watching cartoons. So Mushishi talks about this weird bacteria affecting. Did you ever see those videos of Antarctica where they show like Google Earth pictures where like, look at, why is there like parts of Antarctica that are warm? Like, what does that mean? And why are they blocked out by Google Earth? Like you just can't see what's going on down there. And that's the one place in the world where all the governments to this day have treaties on, we agree to be peaceable in Antarctica, and then every now and then you'll hear about, used to be Prince Charles, now he's King Charles, and they're like, well, the princes have to go to Antarctica. You're like, what? And then Bill Clinton and Obama, they become president and they gotta go to Antarctica. What's going on over there? I don't know. But it's weird, and it's weather related. And, there's a lot of movies and TV stuff about it too. So back to annihilation, this idea of tainting everything on the planet with evil, like the devil wanting to take everything on the planet and put his mark on it. Forget about, the devil and his minions, or whatever name you want to call them. I'm just going to summarize, like, let's just say forces of darkness. So whatever the forces of darkness haven't already done, which it seems like putting demons in everybody. Doesn't it seem like everybody has like a couple demons in them? Like the one guy in the Bible, he had a legion of demons in him. And then Jesus, so many demons in the one guy that he cast them out into a herd of swine and then drowned the swine so that the demons didn't have a place to take hold. So how many demons you got? What's in there? What do? You still looking at dirty pictures? What are you doing? You angry at people? You curse people? Do you have little fantasies where you're mad at somebody and you think about it and then you're like, you imagine little scenarios of like talking to somebody like, that son of a bitch, and you're like, basically you don't know, but what you're doing is you're cursing somebody. So I think, we live in a world where lots of people are lousy with demons like fleas on a mangy hound, especially in places like India, where people are forced to live too close together. They worship a pantheon of demons. Isn't the national religion of Haiti voodoo? The religion of voodoo, where it's predicated on summoning demons or spirits or ancestor spirits or whatever you want to believe. And then we have Haitians coming over here and they don't know how to act. And they're like, why are you killing all the pets? And we feed the ducks and the geese. Why are you eating them? And they're like, well, we're sacrificing them for blood. As if they weren't given enough money when they came over here already. And a living stipend that's more than the people who live in this state get on welfare. And then they're still going around killing your house pets. Great. Why don't they send them to Turkey or something? Turkey, why don't they send Haitians to Turkey? Did they? Because I know that they have all kinds of street animals. They have all kinds of cats and dogs over there that nobody owns. Do you ever see the videos of Turkey? I've seen it in person. There's like all these cats and dogs that nobody owns. So when the people put their garbage out, they put it in the center of the street. It's like, why do you put why do you put the garbage cans in the middle of like a 4-way intersection, in your village, your town, or whatever? And it's because all the pets that nobody owns come there to eat out of the garbage. Because they have so many cats and dogs that nobody owns. Like I remember, I think it was Istanbul. It was somewhere in the city. It was one of their big places. It was Istanbul, I think. And I sat on a bench and I didn't realize there was a dog underneath it, and it growled at me, and the guy was like, you better don't sit there. And it was like a dog, like a homeless dog that nobody owned, and he was like, no, you can't sit under that bench, that dog will probably bite you. It was a big dog. Okay. Don't pet him either. But anyway, a voodoo, probably people have a lot of demons in them. And I would say it's an affliction. It's not anything we want, except for people like Kevin Gates who want to have demons in them. Instead of calling them demons, they call them, well, I have thousands of angels in me. Fallen angels? Not even. Those are lowly demons and unclean spirits probably pretending to be fallen angels. Lying. And gaining you nothing. How good's his music? I don't even know one Kevin Gates song. I just saw the video where he's talking to some witch, and the witch is saying, ew, ew, every time his daughter speaks, and he's talking about how he's training his kids in occultism or whatever. Yeah, go watch Moana again. Whatever. So, yeah, they manipulate the weather. It's not good. Now they're just open about it. So we're transitioning into that, what is it, stage 4, class 4, DEFCON 4 society. And that's what they're doing. Like, you think about the richest people in the world and what they're doing with the money that they have. Is it to make mankind to edify and uplift mankind, to make the world a better place? No, it's technology they're using against us. They want us to live in Hunger Games districts. Remember what Hunger Games districts are like? It's where technology has advanced so far that the people living in the Hunger Games districts don't really know what technology is out there. They just know that they fear the state and that they'd like to get out of where they live into someplace better, which would be to join them in their evil. And who gets to you know, go into the city with Effie and Gay Stanley Tucci and all those people. The people who survive blood sport, traumatized people who will keep their mouths shut, like Lenny Kravitz and Woody Harrelson. Isn't Woody Harrelson's dad work for the CIA or some branch of the military or something? Anyway, Lenny Kravitz. Anyway, what's his dad? What was his dad's religion? Anyway, it doesn't matter. So, you know, you want to come up and join the el-ites, I'm sorry, elites, whatever. Same, the el-ites, the Elohimites, the people that believe they're the bloodlines of the horrible blood-drinking ghouls that are cannibals, that are part angel, part human, and that piss God off because they made a whole bunch of stuff that he never intended. And now we have to deal with that bullshit, that shit. B-A-A-L-S-H-it. I keep saying, I always say the vulgar version of it when I want to say it's just B-A-A-L-S-H-it, and then you would know what I mean. You already know what I mean. I said bullshit. Where does that term come from? Does that really mean like, oh, I don't want that? You know, like in the olden days were they saying like, what do you believe? Like, yeah, maybe we should go sacrifice some kids to Baal. And they're like, I don't want anything to do with that Baal shit. That Balenciaga shit. Shite. You know, there's some disagreement about whether St. Paul was saying shit or not. I know the Good Fight Ministries will tell you like, no, you can never say a curse word. St. Paul would never say the word shit. I think he did. I think he was speaking colloquially. What do I know? Less than Joe Schimo probably. But I think he was like speaking to people directly, like he wanted to reach them, and he was like, it's dung. But you know, the way that he said dung in the old translation, which would have been Greek or whatever, he was just like saying, no, it's shit, the way that I'm saying shit to you now. So you have to decide what you think about that. And, you know, do not fear, do not become dispirited with all these things that I'm saying. Yes, they want to taint everything on the planet with evil. I mean, look at the staple foods. A lot of people ate corn, wheat, and soy, and now, you know, people who are interested in healthy eating will tell you that they're not good for you. And look what soy did to the PPs, and look what soy did to, you know, eating lots of it did to Japanese men, and they, you know, in China, wherever they had to eat all the soy and everything. And look at what it did to us, and all the estrogens and stuff, and how they tweaked the wheat. I'm trying to think, it was a comedian, his last name was Rubin, and one of his taglines was, they're tweaking the wheat, they're tweaking the wheat. You ever hear that guy? Not Rick Rubin, that's a record producer guy. He knows who Satan is. He's buddies with the guy. Straight down into hell for both of them. But the comedian Rubin, he was talking about things that were unpopular, and that was his line. He would say, they're tweaking the wheat. Who is that guy? Is anybody watching this remember in the comments who that comedian was? Well, anyway, that's why there's gluten intolerance, because they changed wheat because it's a staple. Because even back in the old days in the Bible, people were living off of wheat. And probably also back in the old days of the Bible, they were eating corn. So they mess with corn, they mess with wheat, because it doesn't take much of those to feed people. I mean, weren't the Roman armies fed on grain? They were eating the wheat berries, if I'm not mistaken. They would travel with the wheat berries, soak them in water to neutralize the enzyme inhibitors, even though they didn't call that back then. But anyway, they unlocked the toxins to protect the seeds, and then they would sprout the wheat berries and eat them, and the armies would travel on this because it would sustain them. And you know about the Roman army, so they took over the whole world. Remember that? I don't either, I wasn't there, but I heard about it, I read about it. So yeah, they messed with the food on purpose, and probably soon, one of the things I've been predicting that I would like to be wrong about, you can pray against these things, is that they've been setting up this bird flu stuff for years, so that when the time comes that they would tell you, you can't eat birds and we're going to kill the birds. Do you know in China that they're having robots pollinate, and people pollinate everything? They're like, we don't need the bees. The bees, that's too much, that's, you know, we don't care if they get sick and die. let them. We'll find other ways to pollinate things. It's just a way to tamper with everything on the planet, which is what they're doing. Not just the Chinese. I mean, the Chinese at least want the Chinese to win. The Russians want the Russians to win. The American government just wants to sacrifice America up to that fake state that was found in that they found in the desert in 1948. That is not God's Israel. Period. You and me, we're God's Israel. Anybody who believes that Jesus is our King and our God, our Lord and our Savior, that's, those are the people that would be God's Israel. Now, it's the new covenant. It's the final covenant. They couldn't obey the law. Look at what happened to the Pharisees with the law. It turned them evil. Love God above all else and love your neighbor as yourself. He said all the rest of the law is predicated on these two things. You got to focus on that first. Love God above all else. Love your neighbor as yourself. How are you going to love God above all else? Develop a relationship with Him through prayer, and pray to God that the weather tech and all the evils they're doing with it fail. They're dropping stuff down on us and they don't hide it anymore. And it's not just about releasing aluminum particles to affect changes in weather patterns. It's all kinds of evil stuff. And God knows that we're being deceived. I mean, making people unwitting participants in, human sacrifice or whatever by trying to rain it down on us doesn't make us willing participants. All right? It makes us unwitting recipients. And, even if we know about it, what are we going to do about it? Well, God told us, which should be reassuring. He said, you'll take poison and it won't do you harm. You'll handle serpents. And, that probably means a lot of things. There's probably a lot of people getting into heaven that, it's a narrow path, but there are probably people getting into heaven that have been eating, natural flavor enhancements made from hex cells, cloned strands, human embryonic kidney cell, cloned strands. And then there's the people that had it pumped into their blood. No, we've fused this human sacrifice of cloned strands of infants we put it into their blood. So now, Lord, we have legal right to do this. I don't know if they do. I think a lot of their things that they do, as sharp as they like to think they are, forces of darkness, they're twisted and evil and perverted. They've had, however long they've been around, some thousands of years, they've had a long time to become warped and twisted and perverted and distorted. And we're told, as Christians, I hope I'm talking to you, but we're told as Christians to be wise as serpents and gentle as lambs, right? That's what He told the apostles when they go out. And I think that applies to us today, even though, we're not, those guys He sent out back then, who ruled with Him, the saints, who rule probably still in some way that I'm not aware. But yeah, I just want to talk about the weather stuff, weird stuff. I don't know how to explain it. Maybe I should try maybe I should just make a phone video and then put that into here, where I kick the snow and I just show you, because I've seen other people's weird phone videos about how weird the snow is. I remember seeing some lady, she's talking, and she's like, look at this, what's wrong with this snow? And it looked like styrofoam beanbag chair, and it's not, you know what I mean? That's not normal snow. And don't eat it. They used to say don't eat the yellow snow. I just say don't eat the snow. You can't make ice cream out of snow anymore. How about that? That's terrible. I don't know. It's weird when the wild animals stop drinking out of mud puddles and stuff like that. They're like cling to the windows. Let us in there. I don't know. They say everything's polluted. The aquifers are polluted. When you buy toothpaste, you have the option of do you want it with fluoride or without fluoride, because we know that the with fluoride is the stuff you don't want. I remember having somebody was a jerk to me, and I said, you can't drink that fluoride water. They were getting fluoride water. Like, no, it's good for your teeth. And I'm like, no, it's going to destroy your teeth. Fluoride water is bad for you. And then I showed them how it was used during World War II to pacify people, and how it all, you know, had all these health detriments to it. And, you know, it affects your brain functioning, your thinking, it makes you docile, and all the ways that fluoride is bad for you. And then, just in spite of what I said, this poor dumb bastard, he was like, nope, I'm going to, he went and got a whole bunch of water jugs for his family for the water cooler full of fluoride. Asshole. Idiot. Just to spite me. So you gotta be careful what you say to people, because sometimes people will do the opposite just out of spite. You know, spirit of spite. That has to be some kind of demon, right? Boy, do I know spiteful people. It's not been an easy time for me these last couple years. And I'm just some kind of guy. I'm not even special. I don't even think I'm, you know, like a prophet or anything. I just think that if I was in my own hometown, they would probably hate me. Jesus told us that if you're with me and you want to be like me, this world will hate you. Look at my channel. They have some kind of algorithm thing again, and it's like my views are down less than they used to be, and I'm like, all right, here we go. But I'm just gonna keep going. I'm just gonna keep plowing through. Mr. Plow, that's my name. I'm gonna keep plowing through, making videos, even if it's only for 12 people, for 3 people. I don't know what God has for you to do. It might be something big. Maybe something I say in my videos will be useful to you, and you can get it out to a larger group of people. Maybe I just need to start making TikToks or something, even though I have a TikTok account, I think. And it's like, probably those videos still have 0 views. I'm gonna tack on to the end of this a video I made. I came home, it was late, I was tired, and it's the first draft of this video that you just watched, but I feel like it might be better than this one because it's more concise, and I may just put out both the videos. So I'm gonna tack it on the end as an outtake, so you get ready to see the garbage can man, Mr. Garbage Eater's gonna say, here are the outtakes, and then you're gonna see I have like another 12 minutes of me like sinking down where I just keep getting tired, and I'm like, I'm so tired I have to stop. But I'm complaining about the weather. People all over the world talk about the weather, and one of the things I've noticed over the last couple of years is people don't want to talk about the weather with me. And I'm like, somebody will say, oh, I heard we're gonna get crazy weather, and I'm like, yeah, look up at the sky. I've done it over and over again. People in my family hate it. They don't want to know about it. They're afraid. They're afraid because I've said too much stuff over the years, and all of it's been true. Not one thing left out, accepting nothing. I'm making a bold claim like that. I'm gonna have to answer to God for this, and I'm saying it to you. And I say, yeah, well, look at how they fly over. I said, every time we get some kind of big drastic weather change, they fly over the sky, and there's the jets, and now they notice it too because it's the sky. And they're openly telling us that they're doing it. They're doing the cloud seeding. They're doing the geoengineering. You really want to piss somebody off that doesn't want to hear this shit? Show them the NASA cloud machine video and a whole bunch of people watching it noisily make clouds, and how weird it is when the stuff comes out of the machine and stays there, and then it like gets cut off and it goes, and you just see this huge pile of cloud go up into the sky. And you know, Cowboy Bebop has a Department of Weather Control. And it's nothing new. Like I said, I think it was as early as the 20s, they're flying around with dry ice to make it rain. And it was the Vietnam War, Korean War, where they made the monsoons more severe for whatever they were over there for. Just to kill Christians. Just to send us over there to fight, to invade other people's home and get us killed or whatever. It makes me think of somebody that used to always tell their Vietnam story about how they went over there and they ate human flesh, and how he would just make it, he's like, that was the best times of my life, was being over there in Vietnam, and he would tell all his horrible gory stories. And I was like, this guy's an asshole. Hope he got in. Hope he got into heaven. He's not with us anymore. And it always made him repellent to me. This talking about, I had the long pig. These poor children. Anyway, there you go. I was right about all of it. You know, like the kind of stuff I talk about in my videos here. Like I used to say to my friends that I'm not a single one of them I'm my friends with anymore. But I said we got to start like an eco village or something. We should get land. Land's cheap, and just set up something because they're gonna turn the lights out. They're gonna do all this crazy stuff, and it cost me friendships. I remember somebody like outright telling me, "Look, you're too far gone. I don't want to hear about any more of this eco village stuff. Don't call me. I'll call you." And then years later, you know, I did talk to that guy again, and he's like, "Yeah, I bought some land and I put some shipping containers out there, and I'm gonna set up a little." I'm like, "You fucking asshole." Well, I'm glad that he came around to it, but you know, a lot of people where I said stuff that was true, they denied that it came from me, that I'm the one that planted that seed. So I continue to make YouTube videos because I'm hoping to plant seeds in whoever may lay eyes on them, that it may save their lives, other people's lives, and souls, as many souls as possible. Even if I can't get into heaven, I'm going to throw as many people at God as I possibly can, because some of them are starting to stick. And amen to that. Keep praying.
Duh! Here are the outtakes!
I want to talk about the weather. I have a video that still stands where I said, hey, we're going to get a lot of snow. I don't know what the big deal is because the store shelves were wiped out because people thought, well, we're going to get like this, some kind of disaster, snowstorm, and it's going across the, you know, east coast of the country, and then however far it's going to go. I can't remember anymore. And then I heard that, you know, Florida is worried about, you know, crop damage because it's going to get so cold. So, you know, we're going to talk about geoengineering. But also, you know, in the retractions department, I had no idea that it was going to be so severe and cause so much damage. I wasn't really paying attention and wasn't thinking in terms of like traumatizing people with weather tech so that they could push us into, you'll live in a pod, you'll eat the bugs and own nothing. Because all this stuff is to push us to some kind of, you know, a precipice point where they create all these problems for us, and they say, what are you going to do? And they're like, well, we got to go along with the way that we want you guys to live, like putting all the AI stuff out there, and then saying, well, now you guys need ID to prove that you're real. You know what I mean? So I want to talk about weather tech stuff and that it's not new. They used to fly around in the sky with dry ice so that they can make it rain. There's the Wilhelm Reich cloudbuster gun or cloudburster gun, which is old weather tech where they point up at the sky and they make it rain. We know that rich Saudi royals shoot barium rockets into the sky to make it rain in the desert because they have that much money, they can afford to do it. We know that they did weather manipulation with the Vietnam War is it Vietnam or Korean War, where they manipulated monsoons to make them cause more damage. You know, and then there's just like flying over with Agent Orange, which isn't necessarily weather control, but it is climate effect. It's you know, affecting, you know, it's Agent Orange. They napalmed things. It's gross. And now they, you know, the jets fly over. We have the NASA cloud machine. We have cloud seeding. We have the UK, I'm trying to go through all the things I can think of. We have the UK government saying, yes, we know this geoengineering is no secret, and we're going to use it to block out the sun. Because climate change. Yeah, you guys are changing the climate. You're going to block out the sun. They already don't get enough sun over there. That's one of the, you know, like tropes or whatever you want to call it of the UK, is that it's cold, gray, rainy, especially, you know, certain parts of it. and the moors and all this stuff, you know, like the landscape and potatoes and all that shit, and the bland food and the attitudes of the people. Just kidding. So it's horrifying. It's horrifying to think that they're just brazenly saying, yes, now we're going to take the sun away. You have to pay your sun tax, or whatever they want to do. Our building, everybody in an apartment building has to pay the sun tax, or they won't let the sun shine over our building. Whatever. So we have these technologies, and they're not new. And that's climate control. What's another thing I can add to this? In, I think it was like 2009 or 2010, the top scientists in Germany, which was like double digits of scientists, the top ones, said, we know that you guys are flying over and affecting changes in weather patterns. So they sued the government. And now Germany has leisure zoos and a whole bunch of other problems. Hikers on the Appalachian Trail for years, like, well, it's probably been a decade now, maybe a little more, of when reports started happening where people were hiking in the Appalachian Trail, and they got sick, and when they took them to the hospital, they found out that the cause of their sickness was aluminum poisoning, because the jets are flying over, and if you're really high up at a high elevation and you're hiking, they're getting rained down on by these probably aluminum sulfide particles, and then they get aluminum poisoning, and you know, because it's getting dumped on them and too much, you know what I mean? It's not having time to dissipate or flow down the mountain or any of that stuff. It's just like you're at the top of the mountain on the Appalachian Trail, and the jets fly over, and like there you are, and there's stuff coming out of the planes, and you hit the get sick too much. So those are just some of the things we know about, or you know, this is like allegations, I guess, on my part. They have city planning meeting in Hawaii, and Hawaii is on fire. They have city planning meeting for a smart city in California. And same as they did in Hawaii. Did I say they had a city planning meeting for Hawaii but didn't say for a smart city? Well, yeah, they have a town hall meeting, or whatever you want to call it, about smart city, and then it's on fire. So we have that too. The weird thing that happened in North Carolina, where everybody said, what's that about? That's like, you know, that's weather tech. If you want to look up geoengineering, you just can. Like, they admit that they have it, and they also admit that it's nothing new. Cloud seeding isn't a new idea. And you know, with the cloudburster Wilhelm Reich technology, you're on the ground and you point it up at the sky and you can make it rain. So I'm really tired, and there's also reports. So forgive me if I'm pissing out. There's also like people making videos showing the snow, how phony it is. It's weird here too, where I live. Like, you know, there was like a lot of snow, like over a foot of snow. And when I kicked it, because, you know, like the snow will form and there'll be like, you know, blocks of snow. And I kicked one. I got sick from shoveling. I shoveled so much, I got so sweated up. And it was like super cold temperatures, and I went home. And then that night I was sick, and I stayed sick for like 3 days. And then the 4th day I felt like a little better. And from shoveling snow, you know, I got all, because, you know, it was a lot and it kept coming. And it wasn't for me. You know, shoveling snow for me is easy and brief, but I did it for other people. And I got sick over it. And the snow is weird. And when I kicked it, it just exploded into dust. And I'm like, I've never done that before in my life. What's different about this snow? where he kicked the snowball and it just like goes poof, like into dust, and it doesn't weigh anything, and the snow is super light and it doesn't look right. I've seen other people's videos of what this, of like, there's something wrong with this snow, and a lady steps down in the snow. It looks like she's stepping into styrofoam. I'm like, that's weird. So yeah, I mean, that's what they're doing. Like, you know, they created these, you know, like they're trying out stuff, and what they're trying out is, well, they've been doing the worldwide power outages is another thing to set us up for, like, we're gonna shut the lights out on you unless you go along with what you want to come back on. Here's what you gotta do. Shit like that. And yet when God comes back, probably one of the things he's gonna do is shut down the system by shutting the lights out, and then they'll know that it's him. And but anyway, I'm seeing that the weather tech isn't new. That they've had this stuff for quite some time. The ability to affect changes in the weather. And I just wanted to talk about it. I'm so tired. This shouldn't be a video. I should try and do this over again. Yeah, I mean, they're just gonna keep doing more shit like this, I guess is the point. Let me slouching over. Yeah, I don't know. I was wrong. I didn't think the storms were gonna be so severe as they are. And it is different though, like it really did snow a lot in kind of a fake way. There's just something off about the snow. Even the way that it looks is just different. And, you know, there was no internet when I was a kid. So, you know, when it snowed really heavy, you stayed home and they did the best they could with the roads, or they didn't, you know, to clean them. And it was bad, some of the things I saw when people were just like wiping. Like, I just went to the supermarket, a lot of the store shelves are still empty, and it's been like a week since all the trouble that other people had, and probably some people's lights still haven't come on. As of me recording this, somebody told me that Catherine O'Hara died. I was like, oh. And then some other guy's missing. Some like Jack Black guy or whatever is missing. Not Jack Black, but some guy like him is missing or something. That's not good. I'm just trying to like date the video of, you know, talking about this weather shit. It's not new, is the point. This weather tech stuff is not new. I wonder what they could have done what they flew around in blimps seating the people below with. It's just pretty bad what's been done to us, and they continue to keep doing it. Do not fear, do not become dispirited. Pray to God. We have access to the most advanced technology on the planet. Prayer to God. I'm gonna fall asleep. I'm gonna go now. Be good. Good night. Or good morning. I don't know when you're gonna see this.
Faye, in for the Climate Control Center. We're gonna need a little precipitation.
Spike, what for? Look, whatever you're planning won't work. Okay, who's the head honcho here?
Huh? Who are you?
Me? Why, I'm just a gun-toting weather girl.
What are you doing here? This is a climate control station. What do you want from us?
I want you to make it rain.
What are you doing here?
This is a climate control station.
Faye, in for
The Climate Control Center.
We're gonna need a little precipitation.
This is a climate control station.
We're gonna need a little precipitation.
This is a climate control station. climate control station.
We're gonna need a little precipitation.
This is a climate control station.